If you're a beginner gel printer, there'll be a few things you need to collect. But if you've been an art and crafter in other fields, you may have some of these materials and supplies already. You could actually do a whole course on supplies and materials and all the related things to gel printing, but I'll keep it brief for this beginner's course. So the first thing you're going to need is a gel plate. And so this is the smallest one. This is a 3" by 5". There's multiple sizes, as you can see here. I'll show you through those. There are two main brands that you might find on the market. They are Gelly Arts and Gel Press, and you can actually make them yourself, but I've never done that and not about to try. So they're the two main brands you might find on the market. Then once you've chosen between a brand, you know, some are available in some countries and not in others, so you may not have a choice there. This is the smallest little 3" by 5" gel plate, and I just keep them stacked on cardboard. So I go through, you know, the care of your gel plate. I will be providing a PDF just with some information on how to care for your gel plate and your supplies. But I remove them from the packaging, the shell packaging, and from the acetate. I find that the best way of storing the gel plate is on some cardboard, and I've just repurposed some prints that I no longer want. So that's a 5" by 7". And again, I stack them just on a good bit of cardboard, again, just a rejected print. And this is a 6" square. So that's a nice size. And this is the 8 by 10 gel plate. Now I have another larger one, which I think is 12 by 14". But we won't be using that for the purpose of this course. So as long as you've got one of those, I would recommend for this course either the 8 by 10, the 6 by 6" square, or the 5 by 7. This little one is just a little bit small to be working your designs and patterns on. So that's what I recommend as far as a gel plate. The next thing is your roller or your brayer. They come in different sizes and brands as well. And my absolute preferred brand is Speedball. So these are Speedball soft rubber rollers. And I can easily get them in my local art supply store. I'm sure they're online as well. But they are extremely high quality. There's a little bit of sort of softness to them, but they're still very firm. They're incredibly strong and well made, so they are worth the investment. They aren't cheap, as is the gel plate isn't cheap either. So it is a bit of investment to start off in gel printing, but it would be far better to get a good quality initially and not necessarily get multiple sizes of a good quality roller. Now I use a 2" for the smaller plates, and I use the 4" for the bigger plates. What I like about the Speedball is that it's a really nice flat smooth surface. With some of the cheaper brands, these edges can just roll up a little bit, be a bit higher, a bit expanded, and therefore they create lines and marks in your prints. So these are just really good quality and lovely to use. But you do need to keep them clean, and I recommend, I'll be putting that in the PDF, just the care of your rollers. I usually drop them into a bucket of water after each print. Okay, so that's our rollers. Let's talk acrylic paints. And where do we start? Okay, there's a lot to learn here, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail. I guess blacks and whites are a starting point, and I would, even though we're not going to go into laser image transfer in this beginner's course because it's far too detailed, and I have a very extensive course online on that. If you were to go out and buy a black, I would suggest you go with the Amsterdam Oxide Black. That is my preferred paint for laser image transfer. So to minimize your purchases, it is just a great general black to use. And then if you want to go on and explore laser image transfer, then you already have that. But that may not be where you're going, and it's certainly not where this beginner's course is going. But that's a good start for black. Then I've got a couple of whites. So I've got a couple of opaque whites and a cream. So, and not, like I'm not sort of showing you necessarily, that you have to buy particular brands. I actually do like the Jo Sonja colour range, and I use quite a few Jo Sonjas. Then we'll go into our cooler colours, so greens and blues. And I certainly, as you can see by my colour palette, I do like deeper or sort of muddier, muted tones in the colours that I use, and my artwork. So that gives you an idea again. It's a mixture of Jo Sonja, Atelier and Golden, and Jo Sonja again. So they're our cool colours. Then we'll look at our warm colours. And again, there's a predominance of Matisse in that range. But interestingly, that does show you that within a brand, there is also different structures or the creaminess or the texture of the paint. So I will talk about that in a moment as well. But so they're our warms, so just one or two warm colours. And then I've got some metallics. So this is my absolute favourite, and I'm sure it is many of your favourites. It's a golden, and although it's called iridescent bronze, it is actually a very beautiful gold. And then I also use this, which is also called iridescent rich bronze, but that in the Liquitex is actually more a bronze. And then I have, rather than using a bright silver, I like to use a pewter. And although that has its limitations, this particular sort of fluid acrylic, it is a nice colour. So they're my metallics. Alrighty, let me just move that so you don't have the reflection of that plate. So let's bring these in and just discuss a couple of little things. So opacity and transparency is a big thing when it comes to acrylic paints on the gel plate. And you will be able to tell the difference. These are a good example. Between, where have we got, here's a transparent. So the tubes will generally have an indicator as to whether they are transparent or opaque. So as you can see, that particular square is empty, indicating that it's a transparent paint. This one is got a solid black square, which indicates it is an opaque acrylic paint. And this one in the middle is half and half, indicating it's semi-transparent. So those principles are really important to learn as you're selecting your paints and as you're laying down your layers, and we will go into that in much more detail throughout the lessons in this course. As I said earlier, even within a brand, you will be able to get different consistencies in your paint, and they play a part in your gel printing. So not only is it transparency and opacity, but the consistency of the paint. So this is a good example. The Matisse range has several thicknesses or structures, and this one is called structure. So that's a heavier, creamier, thicker paint, and this one is in the flow range. Same colour. One is opaque, one is semi-opaque. This one is in the structure range, so much thicker consistency, and then you've got the flow. There are times when you use one or the other on the gel plate, but I tend to prefer the flow in the Matisse range over the structure. Then in consistency, we get down to some liquid. In this particular one is a golden range, and they are high flow acrylics, and so you can get fluid acrylics that are useful on the gel plate. I don't tend to use them terribly much, but I do have a few of them they're beautiful colours, and they do have a range of purposes on the gel plate. The last one I just wanted to mention in acrylics, and as I said, big topic, and we won't go into it all in this beginner's course, but Golden also have an open range, and that's the brand. The difference is with the black on the tube rather than just the white. And they can be sometimes opaque and or transparent. And just to point out that there is some brands that will actually put the paint on the tube, and that's a good indicator. Sometimes that they don't, but some of the better brands will have the actual paint on the tube, and so it's a good indicator of the colour. But these are slow drying acrylics and work really well, especially with botanical printing, and I will do that and use these in the lesson on our botanical printing. So that gives you just a bit of a rundown of some of our acrylic paints. Now let's talk about mediums, acrylic mediums. I prefer matte mediums. There's gloss, there's all sorts of variables, but I don't want a glossy finish or even a satin finish. I'm just after a matte finish when I use a medium. And so my preferred brand is Liquitex. I have used matte medium for many years. I love the little dispenser. It makes it very easy. That's quite a fluid medium. You can hear that. So that pours out of a hole like that. It's great as a medium to pull prints off your gel plate onto something like tissue, but you can also use it onto paper. The fact that it's liquid can mean that on lighter weight substrates, they do stretch a bit from the extra liquid, the fluidness of the matte medium, but it is still a great product. What I'm using quite a bit now is matte gel, and it's quite a bit thicker than the matte medium, and I use a palette knife to just put it onto my gel plate. So it's not like I love the little liquid top that comes on this one, but this particular one, because there's a little bit less wetness to the medium, it tends to not stretch substrates like tissue or bond paper. So I am preferring this to the matte medium now, but they do both have a place. And then that's also a matte medium. I probably won't even be able to get the lid off. I haven't used that for a while. Matte medium by Golden, and they have a very, well, both companies have a very big range of mediums. Okay, pop those out of the way and let's talk substrates. My goodness, this is a bit like acrylic paints. It is a huge topic. So I will just go through it quickly. I recommend starting just on simple copy paper or bond paper. As we start, as a beginner, just print onto something simple like your paper out of a photocopier. You can buy, this is just slightly heavier in weight. It's 150 GSM, but just very cheap from a local sort of, just a bargain shop really. Then you've got some mixed media paper, watercolour paper, cartridge paper, all sorts of paper. You could go with coloured paper, as you saw in my art journal. When I first started, I loved working on black. Then you've got tissue. Now I recommend an art tissue, which is different from gift wrap tissue. If you use gift wrap tissue on a gel plate, the resistance may tear the tissue because it's not designed to be strong. But this is wet strength art tissue, which is available in art shops, on Amazon and online. And this particular one is Carnival brand, but you can also buy Spectra brand. And I'll put these notes and descriptions in a PDF, which you'll be able to just click on the link below and download. So some specialty papers, old book pages, tea bags. This is for down the track. Once you're beginning to make some prints that you like, again, some nice out of a book. Here we've got a paper that I dyed with rust and a bit of coffee. So that's just a cheap one. And then once you're getting a little bit more confident, I've got a block of watercolour paper that I do my printing onto. So that is just a really quick rundown of some possible substrates. And the other important substrate that I want you to get is your art journal. So this particular one is grey pages, which means you can print in, you can be writing in black or white. And you can actually, make quite a feature out of it. But grey or white pages or black pages, whatever you like, just grab yourself an art journal. What else have we got to go through? We have a whole lot of cleaning products, and I will explain it more. This is all just to have on your table, ready to go. So some baby wipes, paper towel, some scrap paper on which to roll off your brayer or your roller at the side of your plate. As I said, a palette knife. I've got a hairdryer. I do like using a hairdryer, used carefully, and it does help dry your prints and in between layers of paint as well. I have a tub of water off to the side. I have old towels. I have some masking tape because I like to tape the cardboard that I put my gel plate on. I like to tape that to my desk. So masking tape and a ruler. And there's a whole lot more, but I think that will do us for now. That should get you started well and truly. Oh, we've got the other thing is, I did forget, mark making tools, a whole lot of lovely things. Let's not forget these. You're going to need these on your gel plate. And these are just a very small selection. Bubble wrap, just things from the hardware, just cylinders, paper towel cylinders, just the remnants of the masking tape roll, just a whole lot of household items, fabrics and linens and hessians make good marks. You can create stamps and stencils yourself. That's just made out of foam that's glued together. There's some commercial stamps, and then found objects, a whole lot of a catalyst blade, either plain or with a pattern down it, can make your marks, and of course stencils. So they are just a little glimpse of what is a huge number of things that you can be accumulating and playing with on your gel plate. So gather some of those things. As I said, I'll put the list in a PDF and you'll be able to access that via the link below the video, and we'll see you in the next video.